Well, welcome back. This is going to be chapter 5 of Isaiah, and I'm recording this for history of showing how in my editing of finding the 3-verse or 4-verse formats that are in the Hebrew text. And this is all that I found in chapter 4, just little pieces, but this is a 4-verse, and then this is a 4-verse as well. Now here you can see I had to add a lot of words to get there for that verse. But what happens is you can see that if the chapter has a lot of information, I do find that information, or story, I should say. So here, the thing here is you can see the purple colored text in all capital letters. These are our Creator's words, and then when he's speaking about Jesus, it's in red. Otherwise than that, Jesus will be in red text, and this does not follow any type of English, proper English. So the good guys get respect by getting a capital letter on their first name or their name, and if they're bad, they get a small letter. That way the reader starts understanding who's good and who's bad, and the controlling of the text colorization and things like that helps people understand the text, or knows the meaning of the words and who they're speaking about at that time. Now this is Isaiah. I mentioned, well, the Isaiah is from these two kings. It's mentioned other kings, but you can see that he can't exist, like I said, out of place or out of time. They have him as listed as a prophet during this time here, so you can see that there's like 100 years he'd be too old. So the thing here is the text is speaking about things that are going to happen to Israel as they are removed. And actually this here was proven in the text that I already done. I can't remember what chapter, but when I found those words, I specifically had to point at this time, so that writing would be exactly right in this 5-year period. So, or before that 5-year period. So it's interesting to understand the prophet and the location before I start editing the text. They're usually maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours long, depends on how many verses there are in a chapter. If you want to hang in there for the first 10 minutes here and watch what I'm doing to find the formats, and then you can go to the end of the video and I do a review of what I'm finding, or what I found in chapter 5. So I'm going to begin by mumbling and kind of talking to myself aloud to keep you involved as far as what I'm doing, or did, or why I'm doing editing the way I am. Okay, let me sing now for my beloved, a song of my beloved concerning his vineyard, or vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a fertile hill. This, you don't need to, this is just junk, okay? That's how that's decided real quick. It has no real true story. And if they're going to sing, this is not the words that you would sing. These are, what you're seeing is a column up here. And let me put that up. These will be Psalms over here, so it's going to cover me up. But these are Psalms that have been found. So that way you understand what I'm looking for and have something to go by when I'm looking for text over here. He dug all around it, removed its stones, planted the choice vine, built grapes, produced worthless ones. Okay, out. I'm looking for the history story of what our Creator has said and the times and the events. So when you got stuff like this is just them adding text in for their God. Now inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. No, he doesn't talk to the people to ask them a question. Our Creator, when he's prophesying, is telling them what's going to happen, and he's going to tell them, if you don't repent, it's over for you. What more is there for my vineyard? Yeah, still talking about his vineyard. Still talking about his vineyard. Now, if you notice, there's no words from saying that this is Isaiah. And what I do have is a computer program that no longer exists, but it's the New American Standard Concordance for the 1977 Bible. And in it, I get to be able to search. And what I did in the other video when I searched, Isaiah only comes up in chapter 1 once, chapter 2 once, and then nothing until 7. So you're not going to see any really true prophecies using example. Words from our Creator came through Isaiah at this time or for this reason. And this is still talking about their vineyard. What happens under their practice of meditating to have sex with a so-called female goddess? This bubble goes around their body. This Bible, this is symbolized many times by calling it a grape that goes around, and this vineyard is your body. It's also referred to as the letter O, and the letter O in the Bible and the Hebrew side is over 1,000 times is put in as a single letter O, and yet the Hebrews never had the letter O or the letter W. So you can remove all the O's from your Bible instead of them talking about their O God or O Lord or O Creator or O Holy Spirit. You can get rid of it and read the text more truthfully. But in the end, when I put all these books together with all the verses that I find, I will be making one book, and has started, and that's in the YouTube description box. As you can see below, I've noted that in the white text there. So that's why I'm removing a lot of these things about vineyard. This is all junk. And sometimes it happens that I throw out a whole chapter because there is nothing here to find. Well, our Creator is already, to fill you in on why I'm getting rid of that. When our Creator does speak about either Israel being gone or taken into captivity, or Judah, he does use everything's going to become desolate, or very few people are going to be left around at that time. And the invading armies would burn the cities to the ground, burn their fields. So when they were going, they knew they had nothing to return to and would have to start over. And example, if you've done this past the harvest time, then there's nothing to eat through the whole winter, so or the non-growing months. This is still continuing their story. No. Now here, our Creator does deeds. They don't understand our Creator. Our Creator is everything and created everything the way it is. Or not it. Everything is him, part of him. Okay? So, for those of you that don't know that, there was empty space, and our Creator hovered in his emptiness. And when he separated himself, he created another dimension of time and space we know as heaven. And then he sent part of himself back, and that is what we call the universe today. I don't see this as, well, it does kind of continue. Sheol is the abyss, and the abyss is another dimension of time and space. It's known, Sheol is like, the way I've determined it from the text, it's like a place where they're gathered in the abyss. But the object is, the abyss is where all souls go at their time before Jesus. When the body dies, the soul goes into the abyss. And when our Creator tells David that he's going to have a son who's going to have a kingdom in heaven, and his kingdom will last forever, well, that's when we have the only words that say why we will enter into heaven. And what he's going to do is, the day that Jesus' body died on the cross, the words there, they seen ghosts or souls ascending from the grave as soon as his body died. So they came out of the abyss and went into heaven. And this is known as a resting place of Jacob. By the way, if you're interested in those words or read those before. But this can't do this. Our Creator sends them there, so that's not really true. For the lack of knowledge of what knowledge of our Creator. So, but for them, it's the lack of not knowing how to meditate. No, nope, none of this here. This is not looking good for this chapter. Okay. YV will be exalted in judgment, and the holy God will show himself holy and righteous. That even sounds bad when it's coming out of my mouth. I'm going to say that isn't good enough. The lamb will graze in the pasture where strangers will eat in the waste places of the wealthy. Big deal. This is when he proves himself is exalted in judgment, and he'll show himself holy and righteous. Now, our Creator didn't come and visit everybody, according to what they're trying to say. Woe to those who drag iniquity with the cords of falsehood and sin, as if with a cart pulled by ropes, I guess. Who says, let it make speed and hasty his work, and will see it for the purpose of the Holy One of it. Now this Holy One of Israel we know is Jesus. But this I can't agree with. Who says, I don't know who's saying these words. Let him make speed. Him is Yah. That is the Hebrew word for Jesus. And let me show you what I mean by that. I'm not going to get into it. I do it all the time, but I just, for those that are new here, one of the kings wrote in Isaiah 38:11 that I will not see the Lord in the land of the living. The title is Lord, but when I put in the Hebrew word, it is these letters. And if they are to wait for Jesus, then I will not see Yah in the land of the living. There are many verses that do speak to as why the title or the letters Yah are Jesus. So, but here, maybe YV makes speed. Well, I think I cut it wrong there. That we see his purpose. Although this will be our Creator's words. This is going to be Jesus, his purpose. Now, when it comes to the word Holy One, now our Creator does call Jesus his Holy One. Uh-oh. What happened here? I forgot to check here. I've got to... No, that's my Stream Deck. I've got to disconnect here, quit it, and now it's down. Now I got to open it back up. Okay, now it's got to find itself here. Okay, now I can push this button and get you to the concordance or the software program that I was talking about. Now this is verse 19, so I got to get there. Make speed. See how they're using two Hebrew words and then they're going to combine it to be two words, or sometimes it can be used only once this way. So when I do this, I've got this. Now I've got the words I'm going for as Holy One. See how they got the two words here again? And they'll put Holy One, but it's also used for the word saints as well, or just holy, consecrated. Holy ones. Now you know that man cannot be holy at all. So here they're using two words to be one. So if I come back to the text, and I'm looking at the text and it says Holy One of Israel. This has to be from Holy One from Israelis is what it is. Israelis. they would have an argument that people at this time were coming in and living on the land from foreign nations, and that was not, or foreign kingdoms, and that was not supposed to happen. But they started to let them live on the land, and they had this practice of meditation. And their argument is that bubble that's created that I told you, or that O or grape inside the body, that is what they call O Holy Spirit. Well, they think that that's the soul, and when their body dies, their soul went into heaven and became a star. That's why you'll see me crossing out the words YHVH'S. They're talking about God of hosts being up in the heaven. Now you got to remember this. Some of this text was written over 2,000 years ago, so they didn't understand the concept of the distance of stars. But that's what they were believing, that they were to enter into heaven. So they were wondering, when it's saying here, hasten his work and let us see his purpose. This, I'm going to say, is highest. Highest. And this would be Jesus as the highest. I'm adding this and getting rid of these words. Now, I have a description YouTube channel that defines what is Holy Spirit. Jesus defines what is Holy Spirit, so there's no Trinity. I go through another one. I'm not sure if I still have that in there or not, but I go through why Jesus is not a son directly created as from his will, being conceived in Mary. That's just false. Purpose. The highest from Israelis. I'm going to say that he. Now I've got to go to the text here and say, or the concordance again. Whoops, I don't want that. I want this button. Draws near. What they're going to want to say is that we may see him here, that he is near to us when he comes. So I've got to figure out how that is going to take place here in these words. So when I come over here and I click on the words draw near, again, we have two Hebrew words to mean draw near. But when we come down here, I try to look for the word that's used mostly, and this is when they're using them two at a time, so that's not really a good one. But then I'm scanning approaches. Because their concept is, when I was telling you about them dying and going into the heavens or into the stars, that was their knowledge of how to enter into heaven. To have a male come on earth and just forgive you of your sin to enter into heaven, they did not have that concept. Okay, so why is that being up there? I'm sorry, I've got to correct OBS here. I got to hide that. Silence that. Okay, so present, join. Okay, now those words are in my head now. Not really that he is present. Oh boy, if there's anything more confusing when I go over, it's now these two words are the same. These two, those two. There's so many of these double words in this verse. That's kind of unusual. But it does tell me that he I put present and near. How does that? Yeah, I'm going to put it as present and near. That he is present and near. And near. And this is just changing the word that they could have used. He is present and near. They want to witness him, so it's kind of like that he is present and near, that we come to know him. Not that he passes, although they would know the story that he's supposed to become their king, become a king. So he has this allowance of being a king in heaven, but they don't understand that he's not making it. They don't understand that he's going to make a kingdom on earth. So that is not he, his present, his presence. Let's see. Is that actually a word spelled that way? Yep. That his presence. I'm just going to put it in yellow that I added it. I usually use green, so that's the first time I can recall that I've done that. Although, no, that's right, it's got to be all green. That his presence. Is near. Trying to think if I should put us at the end. That his presence is near. It passes on that we may know him. Notice how they're using the word it as Jesus. A little disrespect in the text, but they don't care. I got to get rid of these words. comes to us that we know him. Okay, now these two are a comma period. These two have to jump together. Oh boy. Yeah, that reads good. Now, if this is a 3-verse format, that sounds like that would be right there for that. And this would have to be our saying. So make speed doesn't make sense. But yeah, I don't need him. That we see his purpose. That verse is good. That verse is good. So who are saying, like, yeah, work. If I get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, let his work be done. Let his works be done. So that's this. Whoops. And I've added that. Added this. I need to correct that. They wouldn't give him respect on the word works. Who are saying, let his works be done, that we may see his purpose, the highest one from Israel, that his presence is near for us to come to know him. Okay. Now that was a little bit of work, but that's what happens after I throw out 18 verses. All of a sudden there's gold, okay? So, or better than gold. Woe to those who call has to be divided. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. I'm trying to make it a 3-verse here. Woe to who calls It's not calls. The word can't be calls. Those to who say evil is good. Their evilness. See, they thought they were, these meditators thought they were, their way was okay. So that's what this has to be, that say their evilness, which would be opposite of the writer who's writing. Evilness is good, and our good is evil. Well, they weren't. He wouldn't write it as evil, and our evil has to be wrong. So now I've got that, and our way is wrong. And that's to be obedient to our Creator. A good and way here, I think, is way is within the shadow. So I'm not going to make it a gray text, a shadow of this word, or the intent of that word. But yeah, this is starting to become something here. They not there, there. Their darkness is their light. You have to understand our Creator appears above his mercy seat as light, a circle of light. So their hope is this is what's being referred to in this. And is light. Although I'm gonna, and though his light is our darkness. This seems like it's a 4 verse, but this is not. But what does the word sweet have anything to do with it? So they might have took out just the 3rd verse, and that would have been the 1st verse here. So I'm going to do that by saying this was removed. And then this will be the comma, and this will be the period, and this doesn't. So it kind of flows with this. These two are got to be one, but I'm not seeing words down here that I can replace for that one word. And when I'm reading it, these are two connected. It's a continuing of a word. That's what the statement would have been about, which has to be referred to this. But okay, now that does that, and now I've got to look for another 2 group. In their own sight, period. Now this doesn't sound right here, but this woes those to their wives. Is that being said right? I'm gonna have to put wise men add that, but that is the intent of the word. Woes to their wise men, in their eyes they are clever in their own sight. Maybe not. If I come back up here and bring this down and go here, their wise men are clever in their own sight. Their wise men are clever in their own sight. Okay. Woes to those. It's not those, it's mankind. That's pretty good, but such a big difference, I'm going to say I'm adding it. Woes to mankind. Or, oops. To mankind. Whoops. What happened? Why is that? My keyboard just went out of whack. I don't know why it's doing that. It's done that to me a few times since I got the new computer here. So I think the fix is to get behind the computer here and unplug it, plug the keyboard back in. So let me try that. Oops. Let me try that. Just a second. No, that didn't happen. That didn't work. And that's sad because I don't know what's going on here. So there's a key here. Key and space. What the hell is key and space? What's Windows key? Okay, Windows key and space. Well, let me see if... Oh, okay. That's how you fix it. I actually read it for the first time. Okay. That helps. For the wise men are clever in their own sight. For their wisest. Their wisest are clever in their own sight. This, I don't care who you are, you know that's not true. That's oversalted. Okay. Who justify, okay, now those two group were together, so but this is not. Now I've got the word mankind wrong here. If I go to here, to justify the wicked. Well, if it goes here, and now I've got this, who justify the wicked for a bribe, not take away, but remove the rights who are in the right. But this is a 4-verse, obviously. So I don't have a second part to that, so I guess I can leave mankind alone right now. I don't know if their tongue is like fire that consumes stubble and dry grass, and collapse a root and blossoms away it burns. And okay, now this I'm going to say is out. But this goes up to here. Checked. YV. I'll see how it's got here of host, and that's what you should know about these words. You got to remember, the sun god is Ra. He's a being with inside the sun. In Psalms, I can find text that says he cloaks himself in light. Okay. And then the moon is, here, let me show you here something. here in this text, this is Malachi 2:11. Judah the nation has married the daughter of a foreign god. This meditation practice I've been saying, and the daughter has to be a goddess. Okay, if he's a god, she has to be a goddess. Okay, so now you know why I'm saying these words all the time. So this foreign god that they aren't supposed to be with. Okay, that's what's going on here. But the moon goddess is symbolized as a goddess. The planets out there are named after gods. Example, Mars. A lot of people aren't observant at this time of what happens on Earth when these planets do play on. I don't know if it's emotions, but when the sun comes around every 2 years and it's closest to the sun, that there's more violence on the earth. Right now, the hospitals know that on a new moon that there is a lot of violence, and on a full moon, or not like a harvest moon, a real large moon, there is a lot of activity that's in the emergency room. They just don't know about Mars, but that's just being part of the gods in heaven having influences on our being. Mars is the god of war, by the way. For they rejected YV and despise his. Now, they aren't just his words, they're his prophecy of Jesus. His prophecy of, and let me see if I can go up here and I thought I'd done that. Yeah, this one here. Let me do this, copy that, bring it down here. Our highest from Israelis. Okay, now see that matches this, okay? And pretty much as I'm explaining why the wording is worded this way, now you know that the story is complete, and that's exactly what he's telling or being written. Very important there. So and this account, this is what he's saying, that they've rejected him, the promise, they don't believe in Jesus, being able to save your soul into heaven, or letting your soul enter into heaven. On this account, from YB, not of YB. And I've removed all the words the, because they'd have the God here or the Lord. So I've removed all those. There was like 380 or something in this, in Isaiah alone. So it's a quick way of saving me 380 clicks to make it blue. So on this account, And I got to say that this is wrong, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this word from here. And I do that, and I put it over here. I use anger, and I'm going to make it yellow to say that I'm just moving it. On this account, its anger is against his people. Now the thing here is not against his people. They do fall away, and because they don't stick up for our Creator's righteousness and what He has told them by the laws to obey, and they keep going around it. Example, the law was that if there was a drunkard that can't make a living, because there's a difference between a drunkard, the way the Bible is saying it, and those who drink a lot and still can make a living. There's a difference. It's the one that's drinking all the time that can't make a living that they were to kill. Those that are against our Creator, like these that I've been telling you about, they were supposed to kill off the land. They become like weak Christians today. They say they're a Christian, yet they don't obey our Creator at all. They just hope. So it can't be against. Maybe it is against his people for being weak. On this account, wives' anger is against not his people, our people, because those that are obedient, that are going to heaven, would be considered righteous. These are not righteous people. Righteous people are those who put our Creator first, then their family, then themselves. So as a male or even a female, that's what that's what righteousness is. If you don't put our Creator first by obeying as many things as our Creator has told you, and try after those to be obedient to those, especially the 12 commandments, you aren't righteous. You might be called good. I call you weak. On this account, Wivey's anger is against our people. Yes. And he will. He hasn't done that yet, so he will. This is somebody who doesn't understand that this is prophecy. He will. See, they got it in past tense, and it's not. He will stretch. Stretch. Stretch out. I think I'm going to make it a reach out. His hand. And strike them down is to kill them. I got to use this. Stretch out his hand against them. Oops, I mean 2. Kill them. Yeah, I had to read some of the text below to say that, yeah, this is the right word here. Well, there's no mountains in Israel, so that's... And they're... Because we know that they're killed now, we don't need to call them, but they'd be bodies. Will this word, this is our creator saying this, maybe, so I better not, maybe this is him just will lay like shit. This refuge is shit. So we'll lay in the middle of our streets. First person this text a little bit. Now that's a 4 verse if I ever seen one there. So that. So that isn't connecting to this. But this is not. I need this under that line here so I can look at this text. For his anger, yet his hand reaches out. But for this to be right, it has to be yet. Yet his hand still I don't know if the word still is needed. Let me get rid of it. And yet his hand reaches out. That's pretty good. This I don't think is needed. So this has to be the word for. He will up. You will raise. You will rise up. Raise up. You will raise up. Okay. So, I still need a second word over here. You'll raise up standard. Oops, let me get the other mouse. Take you over here. This is verse 26. 26 says standard. Okay, standard. A banner, a flag, a signal. The banner is a flag. The standard is pretty much a flag, but it's got a special emblem on it. Like it would be like designating which tribe out of the 12 when they're going into battle, they would have their standard. You will rise up his standard. Is meaning our creator. He's the one that says when our creator says he's this holy one or his holy one he's sending, I have no problem with calling Jesus a holy one. That is standard, and this is by his standard. This is Jesus. For distant kingdoms. Now this is what you're seeing here as Jesus now becoming the one who's forgiving everybody on earth from all the other kingdoms to enter into heaven. Those that have high morals, I would say. Yeah. Although I'm trying to think of that he's actually calling different races. So this is not needed now, and this becomes that 3 verse. I can go up here and say, okay, get that a little closer. Now, I forgot to check if I'm still on YouTube. It seems that I'm getting better and the new computers work. And I'll tell you what's weird is that I finally figured out why I've been crashing. I didn't have the stuff that I'm showing you on a different hard drive. So now that everything's on 2 different drives, really 3, I'm now recording to a 3rd drive. So while all that going on in the background, just going to different drives, it's helping to stay stable on YouTube. I'm going to put 2 before here, not from, but to the end of earth. And you know what? That just became a 4 verse because that verse actually, like, it reads to here. For distant kingdoms to the end of the earth. That is a 4 verse format. just like that. Jumping around, but this is a 4 verse, this is a 4 verse, that's a 3 verse, that's a 3 verse. So like I said, I try to figure out what's being said and what I know is truthful. Make it true, make those statements truthful, and this stuff just appears. Because the 3 verses are going to go with 3 verse text as when I compile them, 4 verse with 4 verse, and the pieces that don't go, the larger ones will be saved to be put on, maybe it goes with other texts from another book. So never know what's going to happen here. Okay. No one in it is weary or stumbles in it. In it. This is talking about the army coming down. Arrows are sharp as bows are bent. See, this is now different text, different story. And maybe this is actually goes with this. Should have done that an hour ago. No one. Let me say that if this is all true, old, not it will come. They will come. They will come. Now, this is our Creator speaking. Our with speed. Let's see. This is dividing this. Slumbers. That's a separate. Here. This seems to be okay, but this isn't reading in place. So now, behold, they will come with speed and swiftness. One is none. Are weary. Wrong. I was trying to think of, do I change the word weary, but or stumbles. Sandal step. Okay. Now their belt had their sword. Okay. So nor are belts. On their waist. Not that they're undone, that they're loose. That's the intent. That's why I kept shadow of a. It's in the shadow of the word, so, or the intent of the word, I should be saying, I guess. On their waist, loosened. Sandal strap broken. So they don't have to worry about stumbling. So that's part of it. Okay, that's a 4-verse, and that's a 4-verse. Now we know what the marching of them looks like coming. Arrows are always sharp, but I'm going to put sharpened. Sharpened. I'm going to say, now this just seems to be, it's like they're trying to say an army of just those that have bows. But they come down with both. So I need to make this swords. Now the swords are sharpened. And arrows to swords is 2 different. Their swords are sharpened. And their bows are bent. Their hooves of their horse. Not seem like them, but sound. And I think that's close enough to make the intent sound like thunder. I mean, flint is a piece of stone. Okay, so and that's not going to be good there. And they don't have chariots because their horses are running. Chariots only go on roads. Okay, they might go through a field, yes, but they don't have. You need flat land like in Egypt to do the chariot. So thunder. Now this is overdoing it. This is just oversalting the situation here. There has to be a second part here for this. If one looks to the land they behold, they see there is darkness. If one looks to the land they see, distress is what they become. So I can't use the word there, and this doesn't mean. Fuchsia colored words are words that were added to the text 1977. I don't know if they keep that forward in the Bibles. Always, they act like they've been probably adding maybe a couple 100,000 words to the text over all these years. So since 1611 anyway. They see there is darkness. This one. They see there is darkness. If one looks to, okay, because this is going to be 4 verse, definitely. If one looks to the land they see, there is darkness, like their darkness sees. It's going to be talking about this up here, them coming. If one looks to their land, I'm going to see if this divides up. If one looks to their land, they see dark. They see a darkness. See their darkness. And I'm using this as these horses up here right now. It might change later, but this is what's in my head right now. You'll see their darkness, like the darkness of a cloud. Okay. And better save that. I forgot to be saving some of this, so here I'm just going to go up here and grab all this text and show you what it looks like when it's actually cleaned up. Whoops, I've got, yeah, this is Isaiah 5. Boy, that's right, I forgot how much I threw out. Okay, and 6, get that ready for later today. Oops, I don't have that up. Should have been up. Now to do a cleanup. And what you're seeing here is, I'm cleaning it up a little bit more, but this groups to this one, and there's 2 spaces that'll be here. Then there's that 1 space and then the 2. So I've got a pretty good start on a story. And then it has to be 2. A little bit late thinking about this, but I'm going to try a lozenge. Well, I just got over a cold, I believe. But this is a 4 verse. Even though this is a 4 verse, this has been said so many times that I'm going to say that that's out, and then it continues as the story. Because this is 2, these 2 have to be together. That means there's got to be a space here. And what this is telling me is that there's a 3 verse group missing. So I got to add that. And why is that like that? Should be like that. Okay. 1 space, then that. Okay. This is, I better start. Part 2 here. Should be part 1. Now let me grab this and say this is now part 2. Yeah, that was done wrong. I can see that. This, then a double space, then this, then this part 2. This should be only one space. This is still 4, so it needs a second space. Then it should only have 1. Then it has 2. We got pretty good. I got pretty good text here this time. And I look at it as how much of a story do I have? And that'll be the end. And this will be 6 coming up. And I better put part 1 so I don't get confused again. Okay, now if I pull back and look at part 1, and you can see that the farther I go out, it looks like a column. And remember, in Jeremiah, if you search the word column, you'll find that the king, after he heard a scribe read 3 or 4 columns, he grabbed the scroll and threw it into the fireplace. So it's very important that when you would have read that, you would have said, well, my text doesn't look like it's in columns. Now it looks like in columns, doesn't it? And these are known, a group is known, wow. A group is known as a psalm, and then written in psalms. Okay, like this is a psalms, a psalm and psalms, and then put them together. Okay, so you have that right there, and I'm thinking that is that able to be read, or maybe a screenshot for you there, and then a screenshot there. And it does sound to me like this is like the argument that a prophet would have with the people after he declares these prophecies, that because as you can see, he will reach out his hand against them to kill them. That doesn't sound like prophecy. Okay, prophecy, when you read it, is our Creator told me to tell you this, and this is going to happen. So other than that, that one wasn't that long. Okay, I've got to remember to say that. How many verses? I don't know, but I got to look at that myself. But I'm thinking I've got to be wiser with what my words when I'm saying what I'm saying at the beginning.